Hello everybody, this is Will Brogan from Commercial Truck Training, here to do another edition of Coach's Corner, and this one's going to be kind of unique. I'm not nearly as qualified to talk on this topic as Ken Taylor, which is why this is going to be kind of an intro piece for something that we're actually developing right now, which is another training module for our members. This topic has really become a regular topic in recent events because it seems so many dealers have had a problem with it, and that is selling yourself internally within your dealership. And that obviously doesn't mean that you're going to prospect people within your dealership for, maybe spin-off retail sales. That's not what I'm saying. What we are saying is there are a lot of people who are struggling to have their superiors, whether it be a general sales manager or a dealer principal, understand what it takes to be successful in commercial. And we know that a lot of you that are watching this are probably, within your dealership, you're probably a one-person show in commercial. So I'm going to highlight a couple of different things here, hopefully in as brief a fashion as possible. And then we're going to have Ken eventually take over and really get into further detail on this in a future membership training module series. So I've got a couple of pointers here, and you'll have to excuse my eyes looking at the board behind the camera so I make sure that we're on point here. But let's go ahead and get started with this Coach's Corner. First of all, again, that I mentioned, one-person show commercial dealerships have the hardest time with this because a lot of times you're hired by somebody who has a retail background, plain and simple. And along with that comes with a typical retail-based pay plan, comes with a retail mentality of, hey, go out and cold call and things will happen. But let me ask you this, and this is kind of our third point here, with the regular topic being number one and one-person shows having the hardest time being the second. How many dealerships throughout the country, throughout the world, started their retail department with one person and a limited budget and virtually no advertising? The answer is zero. The answer has always been zero, and it always will be zero. You don't do that. You put an army out there for your retail sales because that's what it takes in retail. So why, as a manager, would you expect somebody to walk in and just magically create a commercial dealership that's just suddenly booming, having virtually no resources and being on a pressurized pay plan like a 90-day draw? That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't do it in retail. Why would you do it in commercial? So number one, if you need to sell yourself in commercial, start with that concept, because that might knock a few doors down into saying, hey, maybe we should look at commercial differently. In addition to that, a retail mentality. Often cold calling seems to be the end-all be-all for when our commercial dealers go to their GSMs or the dealer principals and ask for help. Oh, just cold call. Here's a list. Here's a manifest list. Cold call these people. You'll get results. I often find a way to quote John Wooden when we're doing these kinds of things, and I'm sure I've mentioned this quote before, but it is so apropos to commercial, especially with cold calling. Don't mistake activity for achievement. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of sitting at a desk doing something, a task that we create to do just to get it done and say that we did something, and possibly avoiding the thing that we're really supposed to be doing. Cold calling is a perfect example of that. You could spend hours upon hours cold calling with people that you may not even have what would be considered a cold lead for. Or you could spend your time going out, making sales calls, making appointments, building referrals, using lists within the dealership to really establish a network of possibilities and go from there. Obviously, we've touched on that quite a bit, but again, we see this mistake so often where people go and ask for help and their response is, oh, just go make more cold calls. Not the way to work. That being said, in addition to that, we said don't mistake activity for achievement. You need to make sure that you do track your activity and show that it is achievement when that's the case. A good CRM like ACT would be able to do this for you, or the tracking forms that we have on our website. We can send those to you. Just ask me. I'll go ahead and send it to you. If you do not take the time to historically basically make a note of who you met with, when, why, what was covered, what type of call that was, what number of call that was, where they are in the sales process, all those kinds of things. If you don't take the time to do that, your GSM or dealer principal may be sitting there thinking, well, this person's outside the dealership doing nothing. Why are they part of this dealership? Why haven't I fired them yet? Where you could really be outside the dealership working really hard, but if you don't take the time to write it down, it doesn't make a bit of a difference. We touch on this a lot in our championship coach videos in that module series on our website. For those of you who are members, go ahead and refer to that. Something that may help, and Ken has recommended this in the past, is taking the GSM or the dealer principal out with you on those sales calls, which should be predetermined appointments, by the way. Take them with you. Is that going to happen every time? Of course not. But think of how great it would be. It's really a win-win situation here. You take your GSM or your dealer principal, especially if that dealer principal happens to have the dealership's family name associated with it, take them out on a sales call and go visit ABC Plumbing. The owner of ABC Plumbing is going to be impressed that the owner of the store, the dealership, is going on a sales call with you. Those are big brownie points. The other side of it is that owner may actually buy, which is going to impress the dealer principal or general sales manager. Think of it that way. There are wins on both sides of that coin, and I'm sure you could come up with even more than I can present, even if I had another 5 minutes to do so. So think about taking the opportunity to take your superiors out on sales calls with you, to let them see the process and to kind of get used to what it is you do, and who knows, they may even have some fun. Capitalizing on that one, let's go to the next point of you must, no matter what you do, whether they go on sales calls or not, whether you keep it in your CRM or not, you must keep your supervisors not only informed, but involved. Maybe they don't go on the sales calls with you, but if you formulate a plan together that you lead the process, it's going to make a difference. It's going to make them feel invested in the process, and I guarantee you it will help in the long run. So take the time to, again, not only keep the people that are making decisions above you involved and informed. Very, very critical. That's it for this video, but I want to make sure that everybody understands we will have more on this topic, because it is, if it's not necessarily fresh, it has certainly come to light quite a bit in our recent events, and we want to make sure that everybody is on the same page and can really understand what our thoughts are to be able to help you, because we've had so many people ask about this, and we're here to help. It's our job. We want to be your single source for success. So please take advantage of that, and when we have further information on this topic in greater detail from Ken Taylor, we will let you know as soon as possible. In the meantime, thank you for watching this edition of Coach's Corner. I hope this video has helped. It really certainly means a lot to us. Ken would be right here filming with me if he wasn't out of town, actually helping a dealership go through some of these very same things. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week for yet another edition of Coach's Corner. Thank you.